Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabados of Delmer, together with my co-host Mark Ronig of Statewide News Service and jbiztechvalley.com.
Well, Rabbi, we like to vary the guest list every once in a while, not just have attorneys and elected officials and government officials, but we like to have people from the community on. Well, we got Monika Boeckmann. She's the Executive Director of Senior Services of Albany. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the Jewish View.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I pronounced the name right?
You did,
okay,
absolutely.
There you go. So tell us what you do for Senior Services of Albany.
Sure. I'm the executive director.
Yes.
So I guess I'm the chief bottle washer. And
Chief cook and bottle washer.
That's me. And my job is to make sure that the agencies survive, so the 50-plus staff that I have can provide services to seniors.
And what's your annual budget?
It's about $2.2 million right now.
Wow.
Yep.
That's coming from donations or city government?
It comes from many, many different sources. About 38% of our funding actually comes from the county.
All right.
We get some money from the city. We get some money from health insurance companies because they pay for meals and day programming.
Really?
Yep, the
I
managed
didn't know
long-term
that.
care companies. Yep. And right now there are 6 that are able to operate in New York, and we have contracts with all 6. And so,
They always say that, and maybe you can the figures, but the poverty rate of seniors is greater than the regular population. Obviously, they're not working
Well,
as
and they're on a
obviously
fixed-
they're. I mean, a lot of those seniors are working nowadays. I know that, but they're working more and more because they can't make ends meet.
absolutely.
But that their services are more in need as a population, or than there's poverty in there's children in poverty, middle-aged poverty, but seniors have a higher degree of poverty rate than the regular population.
Is that true, or is that just a perception?
They do. It depends. Seniors really, it's such a long stretch when you're talking about seniors. You can start as early as 50, right? That's when you get your AARP card. So anybody who's 50, and I think maybe a couple of us qualify, at least I do.
Well, I don't. I'm 29.
See, so you've got it made. I've got my AARP card.
And people are living longer, so
until
they
the
could,
90s. So there's a big difference between someone in the 50s and 60s, and even to this day, a physically healthy, vibrant early 70s who's still able to work, versus most of the customers and the guests we work with who are well into their 80s, who are generally frail, who are most often live alone. So our sort of typical customer is in his or her late 70s, early 80s.
And how many of these customers do you have?
We have about 3,000 during the course of the year. So
In
we
how many
touched a lot.
just Albany County? Or?
We do some work in Troy. We deliver Meals on Wheels. We deliver some meals into Schenectady, but most of the work is done in Albany County. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It really depends on who the payer is. So if the payer is county, it's in Albany County. Some of the long-term care insurance companies will pay for some people who are close by, like in Troy and in Schenectady.
You're making these meals? You're buying
Absolutely.
prepackaged?
Nope.
No?
Everything is made from scratch in our kitchen. We don't put in any preservatives, nothing that you wouldn't cook in your own
Wow.
kitchen. And every meal we produce takes care of 1/3 of the recommended nutritions that you need.
Daily
They are
allowance.
so clearly monitored by the county and by the dietitian. I have a registered dietitian on staff. It's really precise. X amount of vitamin A, X amount of vitamin
Really?
C.
That much?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Keep everybody healthy. That's very good.
Our goal is to keep people healthy. Our measures of success are maintaining of weight, unless the person is either trying to gain or lose. So stability of weight, stability of blood sugars, because many of our customers struggle
Diabetic.
with that. We also take blood pressure on a regular basis, the nurses do.
Really?
Yep, and so twice a year, if you're on the Meals on Wheels program, you get visited by a nurse. And that's assessed.
You have to be in a poverty level to get these, because like you say, there's 80s people that maybe they have a pension and they're all right, but there's nobody to take care of them.
Not necessarily. Meals on Wheels, the main indicator there is you have to be homebound. It's home delivered meals. So you really have to have very limited access to food. You can't go shopping on your own and things like that.
Doesn't make a bit, your income is not.
It is
really-
not. It is not.
It's
But what if
interesting.
what if you have children, or what you have an aide or someone to
They
go
make those
shopping for
investments, absolutely. If you have the financial resources and you have someone who comes
No,
in
a friend,
regularly.
not even financial, just a friend,
Yeah.
like a volunteer or someone who wants to take care of you.
Yep.
And not get paid.
Again, it depends
Can
on the
they still get
funding
meals?
stream.
Okay.
It totally depends on the funding stream.
Okay.
So the long-term health care insurance have different policies than the county, versus you can always purchase the Meals on Wheels program on your own. For
How much?
$7 a day,
Oh.
you can get a hot meal every single day
It's
delivered
on
to your
one,
home.
like a dinner or a lunch?
It's like a dinner. It comes at lunchtime, but it's everything. It's
Yeah.
the milk, the bread, the fruit, the main course, the vegetable,
So
the side dish.
You just have to be homebound for the most part.
For the most part,
But
that's
if you
the
want to
number one
purchase,
indicator.
if you want to purchase this, do you have to be
No,
homebound?
no. No.
Wow.
We have a number of, the pool isn't very large, but we have a number of customers who find cooking and shopping to be difficult, and for $7 a day to get nutritious
Yeah,
food,
that's a good
you can't
deal.
go wrong.
You take credit cards?
Absolutely.
I don't have a credit card, but I thought I'd ask.
Absolutely. The one thing that occasionally may pose a little bit of a problem, because of our distribution
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
you're going to get your dinner like about 11:30.
Yeah.
Because you have people in vans.
Right.
So this is the
around.
Jewish view. Do you have kosher food?
We don't. We're just not able to maintain in our small kitchen that type of environment.
And there's nothing halal or for the Muslim community
No.
or no?
We
So-
try to work with the Jewish Community Center. We provide transportation to their site,
Yeah.
but we're not able to produce.
Okay, so if someone requested, no bacon or no ham or.
That we can accommodate. Things like that we're able to.
So-
And we do very little bacon or ham because it's so high in salt.
Right.
And we have very strict sodium guidelines.
No, but as an example.
Yes,
to
if
mix-
you were to
If someone
call-
says, don't mix milk with meat
Yes.
in my meal,
Well, we wouldn't, yes, we
You wouldn't do
could do
that.
that in the meal. What we can't do is guarantee that it's not in the same room, in the same space.
yeah, okay. So you know about keeping kosher. Okay.
And
Give
that
you
we-
a fast
and
course
that
out
we
here on the
just can't.
Jewish view.
That we
Okay.
just can't.
I had to ask,
Yeah.
just,
So
yeah.
very
And
difficult.
where,
You have to have your own kitchen.
now,
Yeah.
you used to be located on Delaware Avenue
Yep.
before your time, before you became executive director. So what happened that you moved from there, and where are you now? Because you seem to be in various places.
We are. And at the moment when we had to leave our home on Delaware Avenue, it was very, very difficult for senior services, and we had to leave because the building was condemned. Looking back now, it probably was a good thing for senior services because it forced senior services to look at providing services in a very different perspective. We had everything in our building, we had all the seniors come to our building. Now what we're doing is we're actually providing services where the seniors are. So we're at Westview,
Oh,
which is
on Central Avenue,
Yep. Which is a senior housing
Right.
unit. And we provide services right there. We provide lunch, and we provide an evening meal, and we provide entertainment, and we do activities. We hold special, holiday events, like tonight is our Thanksgiving dinner there.
Okay.
And we do that at South Mall, which is a complex.
Right.
And then we have 2-day programs that are scattered throughout. We actually have a New Day program up in Bern for the Hilderland area.
Really, it's interesting. So you really, you're
Yeah.
right, so you expanded
So then we said,
around
let's,
the capital
exactly,
district.
exactly. It's a little bit harder to manage and stuff, but it's much better.
And you have how many volunteers or how many paid staff?
We have about 50 paid staff, and we generally work between 250 to 300 volunteers a year
That's a lot.
Wow.
with a variety of capacity. Yeah, because half of our meals are delivered by paid staff, and the other half are generally delivered by volunteers. It depends on where they are.
And are the
things like that.
volunteers seniors themselves?
Some are. Many of them actually come from the disabled community.
Uh-huh.
So we work with places like the Center for Disabilities, and they have 2 or 3 adults who live in a in a housing unit, and they
Yeah.
come and they deliver with a driver.
Okay,
And
so
the
they're
driver sort of
high-functioning
guides them.
disabled.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes. And the driver sort of makes sure they get there and provides them with assistance, and they deliver the meals.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
is,
no.
Now, how well do you work with Bethlehem Senior Services?
We work very closely with all of the senior services because basically we pretty much do the exact same thing.
Well, how many are there in
We just-
Albany County?
Oh my God, I don't
Well,
know
there's
all of
Cohoes,
them.
right?
There's Cohoes, and we're actually working out a partnership agreement with Cohoes. So there's Cohoes Senior Services, there's Ravina Senior
Yeah.
Services, there's Bethlehem.
Right.
There's something up in like Guilderland.
Okay.
But did you cross over? I mean, would they give meals, for example?
They don't do meals, no. There's only 3 providers who provide meals. So Senior Services is the largest Meals on Wheels provider. A small number of meals, about 50, are provided by Ravina. And then Father Young Industry delivers probably about 80 to 90 meals.
I see.
So you're the bulk, really,
We are,
Yeah.
yeah.
of really what's
Yep.
happening.
Wow. So
Yep.
and how long have you been the executive director?
About a year and a half now.
Oh, and
yeah.
are you loving it? Is it what
I-
you thought it would be? Is
Absolutely.
This, you're living the dream?
I've done this is my 3rd rodeo, so I've done this before.
So this is something that that doesn't stress you out, that
Not
you
at all.
take things as they come, and you know about all the challenges
Yep.
ahead of time, so you're just...
Yep. And all not-for-profits are struggling. I mean, unless you have a very rich benefactor who gives you money all the time, it's a
But
struggle.
part of your
And do
job
you
is
have
like I
that?
started with the money. You know, I said the government or the nonprofits. Is that kind of part of your job, going to a nonprofit and asking for, hey, look what we're doing, and can you help subsidize? Is that part of
Sure,
your
we
job?
have, we raise about, out of our $2.2 million budget, we raise about $350,000 by going to ask for support. And we usually don't go to other nonprofits for support, we usually go to for-profits because they have more money. I go to the not-for-profits to partner. It's cheaper for you and me to do things together than for
Right.
me to do it and for you to do it alone. So that's, part of my job is to develop relationships, to develop connections, to make sure we keep the lights on. So by saying, what do you need? Here's what we have. How can we make this work?
Mm-hmm.
And then honestly, we have to talk about it. I have to talk about it all the time. Who's going to be the payer? There's so much we could do. There's so much need out there. There's so many things people want us to do. But there's
Like serve
if
kosher
I
meals.
if I don't have a payer,
Yeah.
it's really hard to do that because then you're right, Senior Services won't be around.
So when when the building was condemned on Delaware
Mm-hmm.
Avenue, a lot of people thought that you just went away, and you was and you had the expression, my demise was, what was it? the rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated. So you're at Westview.
We're at Westview, we're at South Mall, we provide congregate meals.
Right, but what's
We're
at 20 Rensselaer?
Newgate, 20 Rensselaer, we have a case managers there, we have our kitchen there, our transportation department's out of there.
And then on Essex Street?
On Essex Street is mostly the administrative, so my office is there, finance is there, the fundraising happens out of there.
The farmers give excess food. Does that come to you?
They
or no?
can't because
Really?
of the restrictions that we have based on how our menu has to be put together. Unfortunately, we pay full market value for our
Oh,
food.
that's
We
terrible.
buy it from Ginsberg and Cisco,
Yeah,
just like other
regulars.
restaurants.
Yeah, and they don't give you a break on it, the price break?
They're very generous with us
Yeah.
in terms of allowing us a longer time to pay, but we pay full price.
Well,
Wow.
So we generally don't pay all of our bills like the first month because it's really hard for us, and so sometimes we.
Yeah.
And they're very generous with us and continue to trust us and bring
Sure.
us food so we can continue to
Who's
serve.
making these dietary restrictions?
Well, they actually come from our contract with the county, which is pushed from the state. And they say, in order for a senior to be healthy, here is what you need to have, and this is the mix. And we have to put our menu in about 3 months out, so I have to know now what I'm going to serve 3 months from now.
So do you think these regulations are appropriate, or are you frustrated by them and you're saying it's too much red tape, or
No,
do you
I
think that
think-
this checks and balances
Absolutely.
something
I
that's
think we
good?
have to be really, really careful. Because it's real easy for anyone to say, you know what, I'm going to charge senior $9, I'm going to charge them $10, and I'm just going to bring them whatever I have. We have to be really, really careful about food safety. As we get older, our sense of smell declines, our sense of taste declines. It is not uncommon for someone to eat spoiled food. right?
'Cause they
because
can't
because we
notice it.
don't notice as we
Really,
get
it's
older.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, also you say, oh, all right, you see a little mold on an
Right.
English muffin, you just cut it away.
Exactly.
And then you use the rest of it because the rest of it's
Absolutely.
not moldy, so you just cut the mold away.
And also think about the generation that we're serving.
Yeah.
We're serving people who've come through some very difficult times, who are
Well, the
often
Great
very
Depression.
frugal. absolutely.
Yeah.
I was born in Austria. My parents live with me. They're in their 80s. You'd be surprised some of the things that they'll do, to try to save a penny.
Gee, you don't
and
sound
things.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know?
Yeah, see? Yep, I came to the States in 1968.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you ever go back to Austria?
I do. The last time I was back was in 2008. I took my mother, who thought she was going on sort of her final journey to sort of see where she grew up, where we grew up. And now we're in 2014. She's ready to go to another final journey, so we're thinking about it. She's ready for her next final journey.
Just won't give up.
Yep.
So, what's the future? What do you see the future for the senior services?
The future for senior services, I think, is the same for pretty much all agencies who want to provide things for seniors. The next generation of seniors is very different from the generation of seniors that we are currently seeing.
Why do you say, yeah?
Okay, the people who are now in their 80s are very different from the people who are now in their 50s and 60s. And they're in their 50s and 60s, they may not need us yet, but when they get to be in their 70s, they're going to need us. But I think they're going to need us in a different way. Most seniors generally don't want to go to senior centers in that traditional sense anymore. They're looking to be where other generations are, where other people young, and so that's a different way for us to look at it. We've almost like segregated seniors and kept seniors by themselves.
Well, my mother feels that way. She feels like if she's around people older, she'll act older and feel older, and she wants to be around people who are younger so that she could see the vitality and still, she says, I'm not old enough to be in a senior center,
My mother will say that. I will take my mother places with me, and my mother is in her late 70s, and my father is 84, and I will take them places, and they're like, it was all right, but it was like there was all old people there. I'm like, some of them were a little bit younger than you, but that's okay. We won't talk about that.
So when you talk about the next generation of elderly, are they more technologically advanced?
Yes.
And maybe are you planning on instituting something that's more electronic in nature, like people could order their food through the website?
And we're already doing that because a group that we are actually interacting with are the adult children of the seniors. So they're me.
Yeah.
And when I need something from my parents, I go online.
Also,
so people can order
Absolutely.
their food online.
Yep, you can do all
from
kinds
you.
of things online.
And what would be the website that they order it from?
SeniorServicesOfAlbany.com.
Okay,
Pretty
so
easy, all one
so
word.
it's not like SSA, it's just
Nope,
SeniorServicesOfAlbany.com.
SeniorServicesOfAlbany.com, and there's all kinds of stuff.
And you're not at .org. That's
No,
interesting.
isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Because you would be normally.
think so.
You're not for profit, right?
We are,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
We're not only not for profit, we're no profit.
Well, I understand. And that's one of the things I was going to ask you about Ginsberg's and about Cisco and all those others, that when they supply food for you, obviously you don't pay tax on it.
We don't pay tax, no.
But you would think that there would be some sort of
Yeah.
something closer to what their wholesale price is,
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have to pay retail.
Well, they have to deliver it. There's all kinds of things.
Other costs that go into it?
But they're still generous with us. Like
Sure.
Mark is said to look into the future, and they just say because, like you say, the big generation, the baby boomers, your customer base is going to be only growing in the future. So that's going to put maybe a strain. I mean, maybe not 5 years, who knows? 10 years.
Everybody's been thinking about that. I mean, the county talks about it all the time. The state talks about it all the time. There's no way that the county and the state will be able to take care of that large group of elders that are coming into the system. So there's a couple of really interesting models out there that we're starting to look at and explore. And one of the models is the village-to-village model.
Which is
Actually, village.
Well, it's sort of like that, but it's actually where sort of in a neighborhood, okay, maybe a staff of mine would be in that neighborhood and have an office space, and their job is to community build of that neighborhood.
You know what I think of community policing? It's strange to say it that way, but the way the police keep order, they have community policing. So you're going to have community senior
community building where
yeah.
we sort of, the seniors get together, they decide what they want, and this person sort of helps them reach those goals, not provides them for them, but say, okay, this group wants to go, you know, shopping to New York City for a trip. Okay, well, let's figure out how to make that happen. Let's figure out who's got the vans, where do we get the money from to pay for those vans, and help work that through. And also say, you know what, you have a car and you're still able to shop, and you necessarily find it too difficult. So you're going to go shopping for him,
Right.
and then that you're going to bank some hours where maybe someone will come and clean your house when you're no longer able to do that.
Right.
And so it's volunteerism that the group, those who
That's
can
interesting,
give, right? Those who
Because
need
there's going to be
take.
more hands
Right.
to work on everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the goal is it's in a neighborhood, so it's not just old people.
Right.
There are other people in the neighborhood
That are
too
willing to help.
that are willing to help if someone organizes it. And so I see more of my sort of staff, instead of providing you the service and trying to work with just
Isn't
you,
that interesting?
to organize the group.
You know, I was just thinking about something as you were mentioning all this community and village building, is that Rabbi Simon's son, Rabbi Zalman Simon, has a food pantry,
Okay?
kosher food pantry. And maybe there's a way that if you did get a request for kosher food, that you could partner with
That's a great idea.
You know, Rabbi
Absolutely.
Simon's son,
Yeah.
to try to provide something, again, according
Yeah.
to the guidelines and the specific amounts of this and that and the other thing, you know, that maybe you could
Yeah.
still, you know, provide
That's
something.
excellent. We always found, because the Jewish people, I mean, a little bit it's complimentary, but it's just not true. You know, Jewish people have money, there's a Jewish poverty, and talk about, like Mark says, we have a lot of people on our Jewish view of like alcohol and drug abuse clinics. And, oh, that's not for Jews, you know, and a lot of service. And then the people who do need the services, they fall off, you know, they're just not there. So we decided to fit in, and you get calls, you know.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, like you say, that these people, you know, you think you're in the United States, a little bit you raise, oh, and, you know, you're in a community that has money. I live in Bethlehem, and, you know, you're around people with means, and, hey, there's a whole group of people
Absolutely.
that just don't
Absolutely.
So
have.
it's the
they do
Shalom
need.
Food Pantry, and you know, his daughter-in-law is a great cook,
That's great. That's wonderful.
and they make everything obviously from scratch also, but they do bring in a lot of food. They work with Hannaford and
Different
ShopRite,
supermarkets.
yeah, supermarkets.
That's
So
great.
Yeah, on a small level, it's easier. That's what I was almost leading up to that. I would think, you know, like the farmers or the big supermarkets would help
and
you
they
out, but
can't
it's,
they can't give you they can't give you the fruit like the apples that they have to.
Because you don't know when they're going to have it, how much they're going to have it
Right.
versus when I need it and things.
Well,
So
then you
it's-
have a special, and you say, "Oh, we're going to throw an extra apple in." You know?
We could do that. We've worked a little bit with both the food pantries, which is actually who we rent from, you know, and the
Do you do anything-
what's the big
The Northeast Food
warehouse?
Bank?
Yes,
Yeah.
food bank, to see if we could do like little farmers markets
Yeah.
at the senior housing
And-
developments. Yeah.
And they've been amenable to that?
Yes, yes. So we're working on a sort of a partnership and
good.
stuff, yeah. One of the things that the Northeastern Food Bank is trying to do is called gleaming, I guess, when they go in after sort of pretty much everything's been picked and they take what's left
Yeah.
before it rots, and then that's given away.
Sure.
It's given
Yeah.
away at
And
the
let
senior
me ask you,
housing.
what about other amenities other than food? If someone needs a table or someone needs physical, you know.
Like walkers and stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, do you have someone who you partner with?
We do, we
Who do
do.
you
And we
partner?
have some of our, and you know what, my staff tells me what it's all the time. It's Jesuit?
Jezreel.
Jezreel, thank you.
Okay, yes.
Whenever we get donations, we accept all kinds of things like that, and we generally give it to them, and then it's sort of a swap out. You know, we've
Right.
given you 3 wheelchairs, and now we want one of those. Yeah,
Right.
because we just don't have any place to keep that kind
Right,
of
that's
stuff.
Rabbi Feynman's group.
Yeah.
Jezreel.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Oh,
And so
yeah,
we
I
bring
told you, yeah.
lots
I took a
of
tour of the
things.
place.
Did you?
And that's what brought that to mind,
Yeah.
is that RPI was the day I went, RPI was delivering on furniture that they
Yep.
weren't going to use anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was beautiful stuff. I wanted to take it. I wanted to claim it. But they just opened up a store for the veterans.
Yep.
And they opened up, you know, and they're doing wonderful things over there at Jezreel.
We currently, on the third floor that we're going to vacate soon at 20 Rensselaer Street, have come across, literally within the last week, of 22 walkers. And we're going to drop all those off. We just contacted
Yeah.
them.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, that's important.
And we also had, I don't know if you guys saw on TV, we had the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
Oh my God.
They were in town. That's a funny looking car. Oh my God, it looks just like a hot dog. I've never seen one.
I saw pictures of it.
Yeah, so the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile came, and they delivered meals for us for a
We
week.
only know about the Hebrew National.
Yep. And then they did a drive, and they
Yeah.
got all kinds of like toothpaste and toothbrushes
Really?
and,
They brought
and
things
all of
over.
that stuff. And so we're
That's what they
disseminating that.
naturally do? I don't know what they,
Well, what
I
they
know,
do
I always
is-
heard of it, but
There's 6 of them actually. There's 6
Really?
Wienermobiles, and they
Yeah.
drive all over the country.
Right.
And they just
Pop up.
pop up.
and what do they do? They'll distribute to people? I mean, that's
Well,
their job? or-
nope, their job is just to drive around and to
Yeah,
find sort of partnerships of where they can get, where they can do some good, and obviously where they can get some PR. And
Sure.
And so they did it for us, and then they went to ShopRite, and they collected for a full day, and we got a whole bunch of stuff.
I always just distribution. I mean, I've been to farm just really for the kosher and being kosher. And sometimes one farmer said, "Oh, I sell to a big industry and I have a silo full of cabbage. You want it?" I don't have a tractor trailer. What am I supposed to do when it's a few hours out of
A
Albany?
silo full of cabbage?
Yeah, he had extra.
That's a
He
lot of
I
cabbage.
had a lot. And he had a lot. He says, "You want it? I'll give it to you, Rabbi." I said, "I'm going to do it." I didn't, but
know what to do.
that's why I've read also the distribution. I mean, farmers have it. There is out there this extra food. You need it, but it's like there's
It's
a
really hard.
disconnect
Yeah,
over here
yeah.
somewhere.
Yep.
So that's what I was even thinking, that maybe someone,
I would have
some
backed
way-
my car up very quickly
Yeah.
with that.
tractor trailer you would need.
As long as you
over
have
here.
enough meat
But the
to
key is
make the stuffed
exactly that.
cabbage.
How do you pick it all up? How do
Yeah, I
you
know.
process it all? How do you
Yeah.
get it all out?
Yeah.
Yep.
2 hours
Yep.
away, you need a whole
Yep.
truck over
Yep.
here, so
It's
it is
amazing.
an issue, but it's just like, I mean, again, the Jewish food, to me, God has given enough people what to eat. There's food out there, no one should be starving, surely in the United States, but it's just to
And
get
there's a
it,
lot of ways,
connected.
too.
Yeah,
But you
no.
do more than just food. And
Absolutely.
that's important
Absolutely.
to tell people.
So we do transportation.
Yeah.
We do about 120,000 rides a year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah. We take people to the doctor and to grocery stores and dialysis. There's a lot of
Yeah, sure.
dialysis.
Really. And what's the, how early do you have to call in order to get a ride? Yeah.
Well, it's usually within a day or two.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And what about
Yeah.
pickup when you're done with there? I mean, the driver's not waiting for you.
No, but it's set up. Grocery shopping, it's set up. We usually say, okay, we'll pick up at 11 at your complex. Whoever wants to go goes.
Yeah.
And then we'll pick you back up at the grocery store at 1 and we'll bring
Is
you
there a
back.
cost for that transportation, or again, it's just like the food, if you can afford it, then pay?
They do ask for a contribution if you can, but most of that is paid for through CDTA. We're a subcontractor of CDTA.
Wow, okay.
And so they pay for like grocery shopping, and they pay for going to the doctors and things like that.
Isn't that
very
nice?
good,
That's
yeah.
something we don't know that
Yep.
CDTA does.
Yep,
That
absolutely.
That's interesting. They do all these acts of kindness, all these groups, and
Yeah.
without getting promoted for
Yep.
it. So, what else?
Day programs. We
Yeah.
have 2 social day programs, and those are for people for whom it's not a good idea to be home alone all day.
Sure, of course.
You
not.
know, either because they're really lonely or because maybe they might forget to shut off the stove. It's
Right.
just not good to be alone all day. And so we have 2. We have one that we've had for a very long time, and we have about 25 guests there. And then we've just opened one in Hilderberg.
What is that?
And that's Newgate. It's on New Scotland Avenue.
Right, but what is the?
It's a day program.
Okay, so
We pick you up with our transportation,
Right.
and you get there around 9 o'clock, and we give you breakfast, and then they do usually, community events,
I
some
see.
activities. You have lunch, you have a snack, and then about 3:30, 4 o'clock, transportation takes you home.
It's like
What
school.
What about social services? In a sense, was saying, you have an 80-year-old person, give a typical scenario, which sometimes I have to deal with, I know, maybe they should stop driving, or maybe it's
Yeah.
time to go into an assisted living. You're getting a little too old. You say it's nice to be away 8 to 3, but you can't take care of yourself at night.
Yeah.
You know, do you how to give that advice, or I guess that's a social worker?
I have a social worker. I have a registered social worker on staff. I have a number of other case managers on staff. And occasionally they have those discussions with the family. More often they do things like making sure you don't get evicted, helping you with heat application, making sure your electricity doesn't get cut off. Last summer when we had these huge heat waves, you can imagine how many air conditioners
Yeah.
they hustled and installed.
Really?
You know? So,
Well, also, there are seniors who don't know that they're eligible for certain
Absolutely.
benefits that
Absolutely.
maybe you could be of assistance to let them know about whether it's Medicaid. Well, Medicaid is pretty definite, but HEAP and
absolutely,
the
all
others,
kinds of
yeah.
things. And some of it is not financially driven. Some of it is just that there are really a bunch of services out there that may be able to help you.
Yeah, and
So, for example, our grocery shopping assistants.
some of them are psychological also. Some of psychological services. Some of these seniors, they really, especially with when they're home so long, or if they've been married for 60, 65 years, and then they lose their spouse,
Yep.
then they have issues that they need
Oh, yeah.
to overcome. Do you have a counseling session?
We don't. We refer that out.
You
We
refer that.
don't have a
But you have
psychologist
someone
or
who
a
you-
psychiatrist.
But you have someone who you could refer them to.
Absolutely, absolutely. We-
Well,
You know, I think we're out of time, Monica. You know, you're doing
Well, that was
incredible work. So the only blessing that we give you, always give a blessing at the end. Continue and even more success, and do everything what you're doing with good health too.
yes, much
Thank
success.
you. How sweet. Thank you very much.